Excited about today. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about teaching all of these things, but today's work is I'm maybe even more passionate about than well, no, I'm passionate about all of it, but that's okay. But I am very passionate about today's work because one of the most critical things that we must understand to be able to manifest our dream life is to truly be able to claim our personal mental power from everything and everyone that we've sort of been told or experienced. So first off, I would love if anybody wants to put in the chat, or I'll try to pay attention to the live stream as well. Technology stuff is always fun. Let me hang on one second. We'll go back. All right, there we go. So that should be going live, hopefully in the group. There I am. All right, I'll try to keep the live stream. I'll try to pay attention to the live stream as well. How did the meditation go? Did you happen to notice? How was yesterday? Did you notice maybe some things that seem like they were in alignment or trying to direct you towards the things that you were experiencing or pre-creating? And if so, I'd love to hear about them. So you can put that in the chat if you'd like to. And so today we are going to talk about some fun. We're going to build on what we talked about last week. So we're going to build on some very fun things that I and if you've been reading along in the Flow Method book, you will know that I try to kind of at least interject some little stories and things like that. So one of the things that I remember as a kid, and lots of people absolutely love this movie. It is a good movie. I just feel a little on the fence about it, but is The Wizard of Oz. So for anybody who has somehow not seen The Wizard of Oz, it's basically this story where this young girl and her little dog, there's this tornado on their farm in Kansas, and she gets swept into this completely other world and has to find her way back home. And along the way, she meets a good witch when she lands, and the good witch is telling her, like, here's these special shoes, the red shoes, and they've got magic, and if you go on this long journey, you'll be able to get yourself back home. You have to go talk to the wizard. You've got to go get the wizard's power to be able to get you. Hi, Livia. You've got to use the wizard's power to get yourself back home, right? So, and that's the good witch. I think it's like Glenda, I think. Anyways, and so that's what Dorothy does. She puts on these red shoes, and along the way she meets some great little characters, the Cowardly Lion and the Tin Man and so forth. And they go on this journey, and there's like flying monkeys trying to attack them, and they get in this poppy field because the bad witch is like knocking her out, and there's all this stuff. There's a lot of strife. There's a lot of difficulty. She has to overcome a lot of things. All four characters have to confront some fears about themselves and be able to kind of actualize who they truly are, right? And so there's a lot about it that's a really great story. But after this long journey, they get to the wizard, and it's this very powerful place in the Emerald City, and the whole thing's very intimidating. And I think we can probably, in real life, think of places in our lives that are built to be that way, that are built to be very intimidating. I was in Paris last week, and to see some of the grand palaces or the giant churches, there's a reason they were built that way, because they are literally awe-inspiring, which basically means you're looking at them and it seems bigger than you, right? It seems more powerful in some ways than you, and therefore the people that are running those things are more powerful than you, right? This is exactly the same theme that we see with the wizard and the Wizard of Oz, okay? And so finally they get to the wizard, and the wizard's like, all they hear is this booming voice, and it's telling, and she's like, I just need to get home, and the wizard's like, no, and it's just this booming, very intimidating thing. And then Toto, her cute little dog, goes behind and pulls this curtain aside, and it's really just this very cowardly little man behind this curtain, and he's running a bunch of stuff, and he has actually no real power. And so what she realizes, here comes the good witch again, and the good witch comes back and goes, oh, you just need to click your heels in these magical red shoes, and bam, you'll be home. And so there's a lot of themes there that are really great about learning your own personal power and all of that kind of thing. But what always struck me about this story is the good witch could have just told her at the start, click your heels. Here's the magical shoes. Click your heels and you go back home. Now, that's not much of a movie, but I think that encapsulates a lot of what happens in our lives when we have authority figures in our life that are coding our brains, our minds, with beliefs that maybe aren't completely in alignment with what we truly as an individual want for our lives. And the second thing is that a lot of times there are these also sort of wizards, as it were, that are putting their total authority on us, telling us that they know, they have the secrets, right, of the universe, or they have the secrets, of whatever religion you believe in, or whatever, and it can be anybody. It can be a religious leader, it can be a teacher, it can be parents, it can be a lot of different people who are like knowingly manipulating your mind to be able to get more control and more power. So there are sort of, as I say in the book, it's kind of like there are some good witches that for good reasons are trying to give us things they think we know for life, and that they want to give us so that we're safe, or we're whatever it is they've maybe, a lot of times we can see this with like generational trauma, where a parent truly out of the best of intentions will put some like fears or limitations upon their child because they just don't want whatever whatever the traumas that they dealt with to happen to this child. Which, so that's a good witch, right? And then the problem is, then of course, as we become adults, we're still that memory hologram. We talked about memory holograms last week. That memory hologram of this like authority figure placing that belief into your mind and having that frequency flowing in there, and therefore tuning into experiences that match that. As an adult, some of those things are just not helpful, right? So even if it was a person meaning the best of intentions, it's important to recognize where that personal power, now that you have as an adult, is still running on an old program. And it's even more important to recognize when you have people in your life that are manipulating you, are teaching you things, are taking your personal authority away from you. And that's like, again, if we are each particle detectors creating and affecting the reality around us at all times, then the most important thing is for you to have your own personal power to analyze the beliefs that you hold consciously and subconsciously. And that's where the flow factor test comes in, is to identify that subconscious stuff. And also to actually take that power and know that you're using it in ways that are in alignment with your truth. Okay. So one thing that I always tell people, and again, I love teaching what I teach. I love helping people. I love doing this work so much. But no matter whether you're working with me here in this Manifest Your Dream Life Academy, or you're working with me privately, or you're going through one of my practitioner certifications, whatever it is, the main thing I tell people always is, number one, question everything. Question me. Like, I am not your ultimate. I'm teaching you this, and I want you to take your personal power. I want you to have the authority over your life, right? Question everything. And second, always retain your own sense of self. When my book got translated into Romanian, actually, I met Livia, who's on the call today, the training today. And I remember my publisher over there said to me, "You're a leader who doesn't want followers." And I was like, exactly. I want to teach people that they are leaders individually in their lives. Like, I'm happy to give all this information to you and help you align and do all of these things. But my ultimate thing is for you to have your own personal power, for you to claim that, and that for you to take things in that align with your truth, with what you want to create. Okay. And that is so critical. So whenever you encounter someone who is telling you, like, this is a soapbox issue, but there are people in my field, that they act like they are the only one. If you don't believe them, if you don't listen to them, if you haven't given yourself over 100% to whatever they think or feel, or they've got all the secrets and you have nothing, you must only listen to them. And, I think that's true of probably anything, whether it's government or religion or any, really, even parents, it can be the same way. But I see this all the time in my in this field of either manifestation or self-help or personal empowerment or healing. Um, and it's really a problem because it is people that are manipulating people who trust them in such a way to get more power. Because if anybody's ever, like, I'm just going to say this, if anybody's ever telling you, I'm the only one with the information and you must believe everything I'm telling you, or you're lost, run. That is that is not someone to, no, don't, out. Just gonna say this, because what's happening, if each of us have our personal power to be able to create, and we give that power to someone else, then what all you're doing is creating whatever it is they want to create, I guess. And it's going to harm you. It's going to harm you over and over again, because we aren't intended to do that. We're intended, I mean, we're all here, right? Why are we all here in this hologram of life? Why are we all here as part of the quantum potential if we aren't individually intended to co-create? Okay. So that's something I want you to think about as you're thinking about people in your life that maybe have taught you things. You can put them in is this a good witch in my life who really was teaching me things because maybe they'd had traumas they don't want me to have, or they were teaching me things because they had fears or worries and they wanted me to be safe. Those again are people really intending for the best. The good witch Glenda intended for the best. She could have just helped her out a little more, but intended for the best. Or are they a wizard? They're actually behind a curtain and they're really small people. And the reason that they're trying to control me and tell me these things is because they're worried, because they really don't have a lot of personal power. So they're trying to control other people, right? So those are the things I want you. I actually had somebody one time freak out on me because I used the term witches. And I think, I don't know. I was like, okay, well, I mean, it was about the Wizard of Oz. It wasn't, it's yeah, there's lovely witches out there. So just, I want you to start evaluating because of that. Okay. So good witches are people who have helpful intentions. They're telling you things that maybe aren't really something you want to create in your life now, or maybe they told you those things and now these are things you need to get rid of, which again, we'll be after, once we get into the flow factor, we're going to be really digging into those and starting to toss out some things that you don't need anymore. Okay. And then again, wizards are ones with like kind of bad intentions you want to pay attention to a lot more. Okay. And those, you don't want to ever deal with someone who places themselves above you in any way, shape, or form, right? Because your power to create is the same as my power to create, is the same as anyone else's power to create. So whenever you encounter someone who's kind of putting themselves up on a pedestal and telling you all of that, then, that's something to pay attention to. So here's the thing. A lot of times we've been convinced by these wizards in life that somehow we are separate from whatever the creative force is. Okay. And you can call the creative force anything you want. Doesn't matter to me. Whatever religion you believe in, fantastic. Does not matter. You can take that religion and use this information along with that. Okay. So we've been taught a lot, many, many times, I think for a very long time, that there's like, in the Christian tradition is like a guy in the sky that's up there, and we're separate. We're separate from that creative force. And again, so to take away any, I guess, feeling about that or program stuff about that, I'm just going to call it the source. Okay. So it could be God, it can be Allah, it could be whatever you call your creative, the universe, goddess, whatever. I'm going to call it the source. So we've been taught we're separate from it. However, as we learned last week, right, there's this giant quantum potential hologram, and we're each flowing waves within that ocean of creative energy. Okay. So if that's the case, we can't actually be separate from the creative force because we are inherently part of the creative force. It's the same thing I talked about last week, where it's like if you're standing in the ocean, you can't lift one wave out of the ocean, right? Every wave, no matter how big or small, is connected inherently to every other wave. So, because of that, when we talk about quantum potential, right, has all of the wave information, the frequency information to pull up any experience of life that we could possibly imagine. That's how everything's popping into being around us. That wave information is, and it comes up. It's coded and then it pops up, right? And it's popping up based upon the frequency of the collective of all of us, all of the frequencies we're putting out, and our individual frequencies. Okay. So that means, though, you can't be separate from the creative force. You literally can't, it's literally scientifically impossible for us to be separate from that which we are part of. Okay? And we talked about the fact that there is that quantum potential that's a big flowing hologram. And then we talked about how with a holographic thing, if you cut it, let's say we cut it into a billion pieces for all the people, each person on earth would have one basically in their mind and have all the wave information to pull up any experience of life in your mind, then that means that you contain the entirety of the quantum potential inside you, that there's this flowing hologram in your mind that literally contains everything. So you are one with the creative force. You are one with the source. You are not separate. You are acting with. So you may have heard people like maybe Wayne Dyer or Deepak Chopra talk about the idea of co-creation. And that's, from a scientific perspective, that's what they meant. That literally we each are a part of the source. We are each contain the source within us, and we also have free will, which free will is how we each interact with the choices we make to interact with that piece of flowing hologram of the quantum potential within us. Okay. Does that make sense? I know this is like kind of a big concept and it's a little bit abstract. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And it's actually really a cool thing to know that you are in a never-ending partnership to co-create with Source, and that Source essentially wants you interacting with life in a way that's empowered, in a way that's in alignment with what you desire. Okay. And the awesome thing is this source power that's within you is allowing you to create new moments in alignment with what you want, what you believe, and what you expect in that moment in time. And as always, when we continue to program in these new beliefs, these expectations within our minds, then it becomes an automatic interaction with quantum potential, with the creative force, to be able to tune into the experiences that align with those feelings and thoughts. Okay. So like when we were over in Paris, all of us, our expectations were that it was going to be an absolutely wonderful trip. We had set those expectations a long time ago, that we were going to meet amazing people, that we were going to just have wonderful experiences as a family. And I cannot tell you, everywhere we went, it seemed like it was even more magical, more wonderful, more engaged. Even the flight over and the flight back, we had the best air crew, cabin crew or whatever, that were so kind and like took special interest in my sweet little daughter. We were flying over, it was her birthday 3 days in. And so they like signed this whole card from like the pilots too. And so that's what I mean. When we set our expectations over and over and over again, we talked about, I think, the principle of repetition last week, where it's literally, you can't just do it once, it's got to be over and over and over again. And that's where the art of connecting comes in such a powerful way. And that meditation we did yesterday is something you can use every single day. And I'll be adding to that one next week. But the more you do it, you are adjusting that wave hologram in your mind so that it's now tuning into the frequencies that you desire and pulling these things out of your life, or out of the hologram of life. Okay. So hopefully all that makes sense. I know it's like a big, big thing. So let's talk about it this way quickly. So there is this birthing process of all of creation from the source. And from that, that sort of wave archetype of you, that memory hologram that is you, flowed out. So there's like, you are kind of a memory hologram of the source, right? And you are then working with that. And then when you, the things that you choose, the choices we each individually make, add to the symphony of this, add to the frequency of this, okay? That's how we get collective experiences in life, right? This is where I keep saying I'm so passionate about helping people take back their personal power and make empowered decisions. Use your mental power in ways that are aligned with not only the best for you, but the highest good for all. Because the more we add that frequency in, principal repetition happens with the source too, right? We add that in, we're changing the collective unconscious. So one thing I wanted to kind of show you, because I know this is kind of an abstract concept, is I had created an image. Let me see if I can kind of, let me see, I think I can share that. Yeah, I'm going to share this and just kind of show you. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, so this is an image I created for when I was in, presented at the Science of Consciousness conference in with the University of Tucson, Arizona. Anyways, the most important thing is I just want to kind of show you how this interaction works. So you can, I'm a visual person, so this kind of helps. So you can see here, there's your individual consciousness and experience. That's like the flowing you hologram of your mental power. Then when you make choices, that impacts the collective unconscious. You're sending your frequency out. It's adding in to the overall frequency that is our collective experience of life. And of course, here is the quantum potential. Here is the frequency of the source, of the creative power, of all, of everything we could possibly create. So when each of us sends our frequency individually into the collective unconscious, that's where we can have these shifts collectively to, you know, people talk about like the age of enlightenment or bringing a new world, and, you know, people have different definitions of what that looks like. But basically the idea is here, the more that you individually create awesomeness in your world, you're sending some awesomeness out here, and that's pulling up more awesomeness from the quantum potential. If that hopefully that makes sense. So, all right, I'm gonna stop the share there. Let me see. I know we've gone 20 minutes. Let's see. Was there anything else I wanted though to? Oh, okay. Okay, so I want to talk about something. You know, we talk a lot about. We talked about particles. We talked about some of those things where there's no or sexual orientation. There's no race. There's no anything. So I just want to talk about this quickly. If everything is the source, if everything in life is connected to this source energy, universal energy, then there's nothing in life that's not the source, right? So that can be kind of a hard concept, because there are bad people in this world and they are choosing to use their personal power in ways that are beyond, in my opinion, not okay. Probably in most people's opinion, hopefully, not okay. They are still connected to source. They are choosing, again, here's where we get to free will. They are choosing, their free will is to use their source power in really negative ways. That's where we need more of us to be connected and use our source power in positive ways, right? We balance the scale. We create something, we create something better that way. So it's just a really important thing for us to recognize that when you go out in the world, one thing that will shift your way of interacting with the world in such a powerful way is that idea of recognizing the God energy or the source energy in every single person that you meet. So when you meet them or you interact with people, you're seeing not just their humanity, but you're seeing their spirituality. You're seeing their spirit. Okay. You're seeing their co-creation, their connection to source. When we view life in this way, you can really understand how when you send out goodness and wishes of kindness and love and joy to others, not only are you sending those things out in a way that's empowering and positive and helping other people, it's inherently going to come back to you, right? Because you've sent out that positive energy. And that's when people talk about, when you put out good energy, you get back good energy. And believe me, there are days when crappy things happen. There are days when crappy things happen to good people. And we're going to talk about, like, excuse me, if you're a person who has a really bad pattern of kind of over and over again crappy things happening, that's really about some programming at this like hologram level that we're going to shift. We're going to shift through the flow factor and the flow method stuff. So it's not your fault that crappy things are happening, but it is something you can change. You can change that pattern, right? So there are days when just crappy things happen, right? They're bad and they're frustrating and whatever. So believe me, I understand. There have been days when I put out all the good energy and something comes back that I'm like, that was not what I wanted. And sometimes maybe that was not what I wanted, was because it was trying to just like turn me. I was focused on this and it was turning me to something that was actually in alignment with what I wanted. So the idea is then, as you go out today, I want you to do three things. Anybody who likes Monty Python? It's the Spanish Inquisition. 3 things. 1, I want you to absolutely say to yourself, I am powerful. Claim your co-creative power. You can say, I am now co-creating all moments with the source. I am powerful. 2, I want you to pay attention to your own connection to the source. I want you to build on what we did yesterday with the art of connecting. I want you to notice and pay attention to and maybe write down. I would love to hear about these. I don't expect Spanish. Thank you, Rachel. So I'm a big fan of Monty Python. I have a very, very silly sense of humor. Anyways, so I want you to pay attention to, as you go out, how are things pulling up from the source that are now starting to be more in alignment with what you desire? Okay. And when you're seeing things pulling up from the source that are not things that are in alignment with what you desire, if you're having experiences that are crappy, literally you can literally say to yourself, okay, is this me being redirected to something else? Or is this an unconscious belief that is tuning into this bad experience right now? Okay. So bringing your awareness to, first, your own personal power to create, to, second, what is being created around you, and whether or not it seems like you're being redirected by this experience. And you can literally ask that and trust your intuition, you guys. Your intuition is the way that your personal piece of the quantum potential talks to you. That's all I can say. The more I trust my intuition, the stronger I am. The better I am as a healer, the better I am as a teacher, the better I am as a person. So we'll be talking like in station 6, it's a lot about our intuition and growing our mental intuition. If you guys are interested in more of that, like growing your mental intuition, let me know and I can add a little bit more of that as well into this. So that's the second thing, paying attention to how things are happening in your life and literally asking, am I being redirected? Is this experience happening because I'm being redirected? Or is this experience happening because it's trying to show me an unconscious belief that I'm running on right now that's tuning me into this, okay? And thirdly, I want you, as you go out today, to send kindness and love out to the people that you see, the people you interact with. And literally you can say, I send all the love in my heart out to you, and I see that love coming back to me, okay? I send goodness and joy out to you, and I see that goodness and joy coming back to me. I wish only good for you, and I see only good coming back to me, okay? So what we're doing in that particular moment is literally choosing to use your co-creative power to affect not only the energy you're sending out to the collective unconscious, but also the energy that comes back. And I think I got a question. When we have an expectation, we create it. If this does not happen, I will feel bad and sad. Oh, for me, it's not clear. When you have an expectation or you create it and it did not happen, I'll feel bad and sad. Okay, that's a great question, Livia. So yeah, you might. Yeah. And a lot of times we will feel bad and sad when something doesn't come to fruition in the way that we wanted it to. Here's the thing. Here's what I want you to evaluate. If you have something happen that an expectation doesn't come to fruition in the way that you desired, it's important to evaluate, have you been doing the work to reprogram the unconscious thinking? Have you been really, truly doing the work to reprogram your unconscious thinking? If you have, it may be that an experience is being moved out of the way for you. It may be like, this is not for you, right? And I think I mentioned it before. I mean, I think I went through four or five failed adoptions on the path to being matched with our amazing little daughter, who is at a soul level I couldn't have asked for. I mean, we were literally connected at a soul level. So in those 4 or 5 experiences, I'm not going to say that I wasn't sad. I was very sad. There were moments where there were a couple of things that fell through that I was sick about. And it was hard in those moments to understand what is going on. You know, is it my beliefs? Is there something going on? But I knew in my heart of hearts that the right child was going to come to us. And I continued that expectation over and over and over again. And I worked on my future journaling, and I got up in the morning and I worked on my art of connecting to the right child. And at the end of the day, the experiences that did not happen because they weren't the right ones. I was being led. My husband and I were being led to our amazing, wonderful, perfect little daughter, okay? The one that was meant for us. Had any of those other experiences happened, we wouldn't have her now, right? So it's okay to feel bad and sad. In fact, you should express that, because if you hold that in, when things aren't happening in the way you want them to, and you hold that in and you try to that's where toxic positivity comes in, and that is a no-go for me. We are human. We are intended to feel all the emotions out there. And one of my probably most quoted things is, when you bring awareness to emotions, you bring power to your life. And so that one right there, it's okay. You should feel sad. You can feel bad. You can feel disappointed. I am not going to say I didn't feel disappointed, sad, worried that things weren't going the right way when adoptions fell through. I'm not going to say that, because I did. And I cried. And there were hard days where I was like, what is going on? Seriously. It's okay. And you should grieve when something isn't going well. You got to get it out. Or if you're mad, get it out. Express it. Be okay with the fact you're mad, but don't get lost in it. Okay. So one of the things I see that happens sometimes is people get lost in anger, in disappointment, in grief, and they stay stuck. It's when we stay stuck and we're not really expressing it with the intention of, okay, I'm going to heal and move forward. That's when you're going to keep having the negative, like you're not going to align with the expectations, because you're staying stuck in, this isn't happening, I'm disappointed, I'm angry, this isn't happening, I'm sad, this isn't happening. And that frequency right there, how would you align with the right things? Because you're just literally saying, this isn't happening, I'm upset, this isn't happening, over and over and over again, right? So that's where it's okay, be sad about it. And then what you want to do is double down. You then, okay, I'm going back to my art of connecting. I'm going back to my future journaling. I'm going to go back to, when we go into the flow method stuff, and each of you will have your personalized transformation plans. I'm going to go back to making sure that I'm doing my practices and my exercises in the ways that work with me. I'm going to go back to, realigning myself with looking for and expecting this to come into fruition. Now, again, To be very clear, once again, that does not mean toxic positivity. You are allowed to feel bad and sad in difficult moments. You not only are allowed, you actually should. Okay. But the key is then to go back to it and go, okay, brush myself off. I'm going to keep on aligning because if I stay stuck here, I know this is never going to happen. If I move here, I know that I'm realigning. I know I'm taking my personal power in a positive way. So hopefully that helps. Excuse me. This is one of the areas, guys, where, please ask for support in the group. If you have a moment where like a bunch of things are happening and they're really off and it's not making any sense, post in the group. That's where I can help you and we can help each other. We can support each other and help each other keep moving forward in a positive way. Okay, good, Livia. Okay, so I know we've gone way over. I'm actually supposed to be on another call right now, but that's okay. So hopefully this is hugely helpful. Those are kind of the 3 things I want you to focus on for today's kind of homework. If homework has a bad connotation, just say your practices, your enlightenment practices, or whatever you want to call it. And we will move forward tomorrow and just kind of integrate the next level of this, which is a little bit of like, how do you connect intentionally to the source? And then we are going to kind of keep on moving on claiming your personal power, making sure that we get really clear on that. And then we're going into the flow method, and then we're going into the flow factor and creating your personalized stuff. So thank you so much for being here. I hope this was hugely, hugely, hugely helpful. Rachel, I hope you saw my awesome happening yesterday. Oh, geez, Rachel, I don't know that I did. Okay, I will definitely take this, and I want to last client of the day. Okay, well, you know what? Let me read this really quick. Sorry, it's hard when they're popping up. I found that while quietly massaging my clients, I allowed myself to visualize what I wanted to have happen in future. One visualization is more money. My last client of my day paid and left. After cleaning up and locking my office, I got on my car door to open it. It was dark out. I thought a leaf was stuck in my car door. Oh my gosh. Intuition yelled, and I opened my flashlight and look. I'm glad I looked. It was $100 bill. Oh my gosh. My client left me that money. The client said they wanted to thank me for all I do for them. So wild and cool because this client never tips and always likes discounts. Oh, Rachel. Yes. Thank you for redirecting me to that. It's a lot. It's like it's a lot to look at when I'm on doing this and teaching. Oh my God. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, we have to celebrate that. That is so awesome. I'm so excited. So that's a huge change. So thank you for sharing that, Rachel, because this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? You could have the expectation that this client never tips and is a sucky payer and blah, blah, blah. And if you keep that expectation, right, that's what you're going to keep experiencing. But instead, you've been actually actively visualizing more money. And this client who doesn't usually tip suddenly felt called. And then let me also point this out. So there's the energy exchange, guys. We get super hung up on like money in our culture. I'm sure all cultures. We get so hung up on money. All money is an energy exchange. And we'll work on a bunch of that and why we need to kind of clear out any money gunk we have, because there's so many, oh my God, there's so many things that are attached to money. That's a perfect example of that money representing the energetic exchange of appreciation for what Rachel does. And you accepted it. You accepted that appreciation. And that's such a key. That's fantastic. Thank you, Rachel, so much for sharing that. I'm so excited for you and so proud of you. I know you've been consistently applying this, so way to go. I'm really, really, really pleased with that. Thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm gonna, oopsies, I just did something weird. Wait, one new message. Let me go down here. Oh yeah. So thank you guys so much for being here. Do those 3 things today. Tomorrow we'll keep on trucking on this and adding in a little bit more of the connection to the source energy. And then we're gonna keep on moving on grabbing that and on really utilizing and claiming your personal power. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here.